Thank you so much. Rarely do we get to see that moment in life where people step into that brilliance and beauty that they never thought was possible, and we just got to see it. And I'm like in tears. I feel like I could just sit down on that group talk itself. Anyway, let's take another big group shot. So one of my prayer partners on this planet says beloved, calls everybody in her world beloved. So I am starting today by saying, aloha beloveds. Whenever she says that to me, it just fills me up, and I know it fills up all of you. Aloha beloveds. It is such a joy to be here with you today. We're going to have an open discussion today around what it means to be a human being instead of a human doing. Okay? And I would love to say that I have it all figured out, and that I'm in total balance, and that I never overdo. And if I said that, I would be lying. And I get to learn with you today too. This is a process that we all get to learn together and grow together in. And I can't wait to learn from all of you sharing just as much as you get to learn from me. Who's excited today? Awesome. So show of hands, who here has ever felt like a human doing? Show of hands. Yeah. Let's see here. Who here is wanting to move into being more of a human being? Yeah, me too. Every day. So unfortunately, our society glorifies busyness. It's a society of hustle culture and doing and doing and doing and striving and striving and striving. And whenever we ask somebody, how are you doing in life? Unfortunately, we don't hear things like, I am so at peace. I am so at peace. Or, I feel fulfilled. Can you imagine living in a world where when we ask people how they're doing, they say, I am so fulfilled? How would that feel to everybody to live in that world? You guys can talk too, I'm not the only one today. How would that feel? It would feel great. That's the world that I want to live in. Unfortunately, most of the time when we're asked how we're doing, we list all of our accomplishments. Or we say, and I hear this from my own mouth all the time, I am so busy. I am so busy. Anybody ever said that before? I'm so busy. Well, we choose our life, and we choose what we do in our life, and this is not a place of judgment. I'm right there with you. But we have to get real with ourselves about what we're choosing in our lives, how we're choosing to talk about ourselves, and how we're choosing to talk about our experience here on this planet. Now, don't get me wrong, I love a great to-do list, except I call it a done list, because it's gonna get done someday, right? I love a great to-do list. I love checking stuff off. There's nothing like that dopamine hit of getting your cross thing off. Does anybody agree with me on that? Yes. Oh, it feels so good. Strike it through, right? Anybody here ever had a completely done to-do list? What? There's no hands up? That's because it's never done, right? It's never done. But we get to choose whether we come from a place of presence and being as we step through this earthly expression on this planet, and the things that we get to do, because it is a gift. I've been in a place where basically all I could do was lay in bed or walk to the bathroom, and those were the two things I got to do all day. So everything we get to do is a gift. And we get to choose if we're doing that from a place of presence or from a place of busyness, that place of hustle. And I'm ready to let go of hustle. Who's ready to let go of hustle? I want to hear it. Oh, come on, we can do better than I've heard some of these people will do before in my life. So who's ready to get rid of hustle? Okay. So this is the worst kept secret in probably all of Hawaii, but I'm a nerd. Okay, I'm a nerdy nerd that likes to nerd. So we're going to talk about the science behind it, because I like to know what goes on in my body and in my mind when I'm in a place of stress, versus when I'm in a place of peace. Turn the page, there we go. So our brain has two different modes. It has doing mode and it has being mode. You may have heard this as the sympathetic nervous system, which is fight, flight, or freeze. Say that 3 times fast. Or the sympathetic nervous system, which is the restful part of our nervous system. So when we're in that doing mode, and that's what I'll call it, because sympathetic is a very big word, and I get tongue tangled sometimes. So when we're in that doing mode, we're very goal-oriented, and we're very action-driven. And there are some times when that can be helpful to us in short time periods, right? As much as we want to move towards being in our being place, it's not realistic to be there all the time. Can anybody think of an example where being in the doing mode has helped you in the past? It was a brief time for you. Anybody want to share? Yeah.
Just getting some work done, and getting it completing a project.
Just completing a project, setting a timeline maybe and saying, for the next half hour, I'm gonna work very studiously on this thing. Yeah. Anybody here ever publish a book or getting ready to publish a book? Yeah. I would imagine when you're getting ready to publish that book, taking some time to be in that doing place can be helpful, right? Well, unfortunately, when we stay in that doing place all the time, our body starts to interpret it as stress, okay? And when we're in that stressful place, we start to operate out of our amygdala. And you're like, oh my gosh, now she's nerding like really hard. But I'm gonna talk you through it, okay? We can do science together. Okay, everybody get your hand out. Everybody have a hand? Awesome, here we go. This is your brain. I promise it is. Okay, here we go. So if you tuck your thumb in, like this, onto your palm, and you close your fingers over the top, we now have a brain. And I'm gonna set the microphone down briefly so I can explain it to you. Stay there. Okay. This front part is our prefrontal cortex. Okay? And if I hold it up to the side of my head, that's a lot like what our brain looks like. This back part here is our brainstem, and this is like our spinal column. So if you can imagine, this is what our brain looks like, just like that, in our head. And our brain is gorgeous, by the way. It is so gorgeous. So beautiful, bright colors inside, it's so beautiful. Anyway, so we have our brain, and if we lift our fingers up, we have our thumb here. See my bright red finger now? It's not just vanity, it helps me in talks too. So you see the bright red fingernail? That's our amygdala. And our amygdala is almost exactly that size in our brain. So our amygdala is the part of our brain that processes stress and fear. And when we're in stress, because we're constantly doing, our amygdala starts to activate. And what happens when we're trying to make decisions from our amygdala if all it does is process stress and fear? What do you guys think? More stress and fear. Who here thinks that decision making is important? Anybody think decision making is important? Who here feels like they can make really great decisions when they're terrified? No, right? We can't make really good decisions when we're terrified. And a lot of times when we're in that doing place, we're making some of the biggest decisions of our lives. So you might ask yourself, well, if I'm in that doing place and I want to get back to my prefrontal cortex, which is the part where we get to make objective decision making, which is over here, how do we put our lid back on? And that's actually what the research scientist calls it. And I'll tell you his name. His name is Dr. Daniel Cslwh. I highly recommend you look him up. He talks about flipping your lid. So when we get stressed and we're in doing and all of that, we flip our lid. Anybody ever felt that before? Literally, like you flip your lid when you're stressed out? Yeah, we literally flip our lid, and it's as though we are no longer connected to our prefrontal cortex, and we're connected to our amygdala only. And you're like, but how do I get back to my prefrontal cortex? Anybody here want to know? Oh, come on, I know you guys want to know. You want to know? Yeah. The easiest way to get back to our prefrontal cortex is to ask ourselves a silly question. So I'm going to ask all of you, do you like pineapple on your pizza? All of you know the answer already. The next one I'm going to ask is, how do you feel about worms? Actually, I used to be really freaked out by worms, but they're way better than scorpions. I would be worm and scorpion, right? As soon as we get curious, we engage our prefrontal cortex and we're right back to that place of being and being in a restful state. So what happens, we talked about what happens when our brain is in stress, right? What happens when we're in a state of calm? Well, our body and our brain shifts into restorative mode. Our brainwave activity increases in the alpha range, and we get this alert in our brain, in our body, to relax. The amygdala shows reduced activity, and we actually feel a calmer sensation in our body. Okay. Anybody ever felt that before? When you get that belly laugh after a stressful time, and it's almost like you get this release. You just feel like, ah. Guess what? We can do that with just asking ourselves a silly question. So I want you to turn to your neighbor, and I want you to think of a silly question to ask them. And then I want them to ask you a silly question back. So take 2 minutes, a minute each, I'm gonna time you, and ask each other a silly question.
Do you like oyster stew better than salmon soup? Do you like oyster stew better than salmon soup?
Do you ever shower?
Do you like a good night's sleep? More? Do you like a nice? Do you like to see a green flash at sunset?
Okay, let's come back together. Let's come back together. Who would like to share the silly question they heard or share themselves? Who would like to share the silly question? Okay, Laura and then Tanya.
I asked, what's the weirdest thing in your refrigerator?
Oh,
He answered.
Pickled herring.
pickled. Wow, you went there. Yeah, so the question is, what's the weirdest thing in your refrigerator? That's a really good one. Bill.
I asked her if she would consider ever taking a nap.
If she would ever consider taking a really weird question to some people, right? Tanya, how about you?
I asked if you would ever consider dyeing your hair pink.
Would you ever consider dyeing your hair pink? I did that accidentally once. So when we ask that silly question, we trick our brain into going back into that thinking place, because when we're asked a question, our brain can't help but answer. Our brain can't help but answer. So one of the tricks and tips that I want you to take today is when you get home, I want you to get your sticky notes out. If you're like me, they're color coded, and if this is a special place, so go to that special place, get your sticky notes out, and write down a few funny, silly questions for yourself, and put them in the places where you accidentally get trapped into doing. Okay, so those places might be at your monitor. It might be at the fold-out mirror in your car. It might be on your refrigerator, on your bathroom mirror. I have a client that has silly questions all over their house because they feel like they're trapped into doing all the time. Whatever it takes. But that's one of the things that you can do. The other thing that we can do is we can practice mindfulness, which is it's actually a scientific approach to reducing stress in our brain and moving more into a being place. And when I talk to most people, I ask them about mindfulness. I ask them, how long do you think you have to practice mindfulness for your brain to actually feel more relaxed? Anybody want to shout out some times?
1 minute.
You're cribbing off my notes again. She's right. It's just 1 minute, okay? So I want everybody to do a self-assessment. When you walked in today on a scale of 1 to 10, how stressed were you? And I want you to hold up your fingers for me. How stressed were you when you walked in today on a scale of 1 to 10 about life in general, about work, about relationship?
Is one the least or the most?
1 is the least. If you need to put a foot up, that's fine too. Okay. And now we're gonna see if we can reduce it just a little bit by practicing some mindfulness together. Okay. So I want you guys to find a comfortable position. You can keep your eyes open or go ahead and close them. When we breathe together in this activity, we're gonna think in as we breathe in, and we're gonna think out as we breathe out. And we're just gonna do it for a minute. Okay. Okay, breathing in and thinking in, allowing your shoulders to relax. And breathing out and thinking out, allowing your hands to unclench. Breathing in and thinking in, allowing your jaw to relax. And breathing out and thinking out. Feel free to breathe at your own pace. That's more comfortable. Breathing in and thinking in. And breathing out and thinking out. And one more time, breathing in and thinking in. And breathing out and thinking out. Welcome back, everyone. Now on a scale of 1 to 10, what number would you give yourself? Go ahead and put that up. Ooh, I got some zeros, 1s. I love it. So this is something that you can take with you that puts you right into that being place, that gets us right into that relaxed parasympathetic activity in our body. I invite you to get that handy dandy calendar out. I hope it's all digital and all of you throw away your paper calendars. Just a fun fact. And that you take some time to put in your calendar some mindful breaks of just 1 minute of breathing, where you think in and then you think out. How does that sound, everybody?
Wonderful.
Sounds good.
I'll add it to my to-do list.
Check it off. So this is where peace lives. This is where inspiration arises. This is where we can hear the still, small voice within is in this place of being, in this place of peace. One of the things that science has shown is that when we're in that doing mode, the creativity part of ourselves kind of goes to sleep, unfortunately, and waits until there is space to reawaken. So if creativity is important to you, I invite you to stick with me in this talk because we're going to dive even deeper. So we've talked about the nerdy part, we've talked about the science, and now we're going to talk about the spiritual part. So Ernest Holmes said, life is not just something to be endured, it is something to be lived in joy, in a fullness without limit. And that joy, that fullness, is what Holmes calls limitless. Okay? When we're in a state of peacefulness, when we're in that state of mindfulness, that state of beingness within our body, we don't burn out. We don't hustle. And we don't get trapped into that relentless push of push, push, push. The truth is that our oneness, this infinite part of ourselves, is experienced fully when we are present, receptive, and aligned. And one of the things that I think is so amazing about this is that whenever we read from the people that inspire us, who are some of the people that inspire you guys in your lives that you've read or heard interviews from? Go ahead and shout out some names. Jane Goodall. Oprah. Brene Brown. So good. Anybody else? The Dalai Lama.
Sandra Day O'Connor.
Sandra O'Connor. Yoganandi. Absolutely. When these. No. Fine is inspiring, and we are all accepting here. Okay? Whenever those people say that they had some amazing thing happen to them, or they had a breakthrough, or they feel like they came up with an idea that could change the world, or change a view, or have a positive impact, almost all of them say it happened in a quiet moment. It happened in a quiet moment when I was sitting next to my tea in the morning doing my morning meditation. It happened in a quiet moment while I sat and listened to the ocean, or sat on a hill and listened to the grass and the wind. It happened in that quiet moment. Now, most of the people in this room I know pretty well, and the people that I don't know really well, I can still see the magnificent part of you shining through. What if by doing, we are missing our quiet moments for our magnificence to shine through? Each one of you here have divinely given gifts. You're incredible beings on this planet. The people that I know well here change people's lives dramatically. They do. I know that you do because I've experienced it. What if we're missing our quiet moments? What do you guys think of that idea? What comes to mind when you hear that?
Excellent.
Excellent that you're missing your quiet moment?
No, but I'm not.
What else? Does anybody feel like you might be missing your quiet moment? Anybody feel like that might be happening? Yeah. But we can start to come together and find more of those quiet moments for ourselves. So, thought leader Michael Bernard Beckwith said, "You cannot be a light in the world if you are burning yourself out." You cannot be a light in this world if you are burning yourself out. You are each a light in this world. This place of beingness, I believe, is something that goes into the collective consciousness, and it makes it more possible for all of us to be in that state. I believe that we are divinely connected. I believe that my soul and body that is here as an expression on this planet is directly connected to each person in this room, each person in my van, and each person in the world. And when we step into a place of beingness, we open the door for other people to step into that place too. So I want us to take a moment. Beckwith came up with the specific structure of visioning that we use in Science of Mind. We're not going to do the full structure today, but we're going to take a moment today together. We're going to envision what it looks like for us to have quiet moments, and we're going to envision what it might look like for that to have an impact on the world. So I invite you to find that comfortable position. Close your eyes if that feels good to you. I invite you to take a deep breath in, and as you let it out, I invite you to find that relaxed place in your mind. And I want you to envision yourself being accepting of yourself, being being in a quiet moment. Allowing for your intuition, your connection to God, your connection to nature to come in and inspire you. And envision a world where this moment, this taken moment of quietness is normal. And that people all around the world are stepping into beingness. And what a world like that could look like. And how your beingness contributes. Take one more moment there as we get divine recognition from our roosters outside. Now I invite you to come back to this place. Come back to this moment and open your eyes. All of you have the power to create this change of beingness within you, and that will change the world. It will. Cslwh said, "Infinite spirit is never too late. There's always divine timing in everything." We don't have to worry that we're not going to get it done on time, because it's all in God's time. It's all in the divine time. Reverend Dr. Maureen Hoyt said, "We are not here to push life around, we are here to allow life to express through us." And each of you are an amazing, magnificent expression of life. Jesus said, "Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow, they toil not, they do not spin. The lilies are not in frantic rush to prove their worth, they simply exist, they unfold in their divine perfection." When we look at the nature around us, nature is like, "Oh my gosh, I gotta get my sprout on. If I don't do that, I'm gonna be late." They just do it. They are just being what they are naturally here to be. So I want you all to know that we are not human doings. We are human beings. Our value is inherent. And I'd love to say that I have it all figured out, but the truth is that I don't. But I'm learning, and I'm growing in what being means to me, and what balance means to me. And I look forward to learning from all of you as you grow in this too. So beloveds, we are not here to simply do. We are here to be love and joy and creativity and light, to be open to the channel for the divine to speak through us as magnificent beings we are on this planet. So today I invite you to let go of striving, to step into trust, to remember that you are already enough. You are already enough. There is nothing in this world that you could ever do that would ever make you more enough than you already are in this moment. And not because of what you do, because of who you are on this planet. I'd like you to invite you to take a deep breath with me in this moment, right here and now. This moment is enough too. And so it is. If you've ever enjoyed anything that I've ever said and done, I just want to celebrate one person before I invite Sarah back, and that's my speaking coach, Laura Reed. Let's give her a big room. In 2021, she said that I might be able to speak one day, and I laughed in her face. And it's been the biggest gift of my life, is getting to share with people this way. So thank you so much, Laura. And now it's my absolute and total honor to invite Sarah back up to sing with us again.